It's going to be an early night. Like I said, this is how it goes down. I'm coming in to kill or be killed. Simple as that.
This video is powered by Skullbonia. Visit skullbonia.com, honoring the history of Bare Knuckle through high-quality apparel. Hey everybody, welcome back. I am Joshua Furs with CombatInsiders.com. We got a special treat today. We got Mark, the Hand of Godbeer. What's going on, my friend?
How you doing, guys? Yeah, all good. Yeah, I'm pretty stoked now. Everything's been released. I think I was hinting enough of what was going on. I think everyone knew what was going on. But yeah, it's happening.
Mark, I tell you, man, I was talking about, I was hoping this is what was going to happen. And of course, if you don't know, if you live under a rock, they just announced Mark Godbeer versus Joey Beltran for BKFC 12. I tell you what, man. Of course, Mark, you're the BKB heavyweight champion. You're the Valor heavyweight champion. Joey Beltran is the Police Gazette heavyweight champion, and he's also the BKFC heavyweight champion. That's a mouthful to say, but when they made the announcement and it got made official, the hairs on my arm stood up, Mark. I mean, don't get me wrong, like this is what I do for a living. I watch a lot of fights.
Yeah.
Genuinely, not just because you're right here in front of me. I mean, I'm super, super pumped about this fight. I can't say it enough, my friend.
Yeah, it's one of those fights. I think it needs to happen. It's obviously with me being, like you said, the British BKB champion, and then going on winning that tournament. It's just the only fight that makes sense. And Joey owning the other two belts, in my eyes, it was the only fight that made sense. And I didn't want to go ducking and diving anyone. That's why I put it straight out there. This fight needs to happen. Joey Beltran, where are you at? In a respectable way as well. I'm not one of these, trash talking, but I needed to let people know that that's the fight I wanted. So, I had to do a little amount of trash talking to get the fight, but we got it. It worked. And it seemed, obviously, once as you've seen myself from yourself, from my social media, I was putting out little videos and stuff, and the response I was getting from it, I believe it's the fight everyone wanted to see as well. So, and I think it's certainly blown up a little bit, and I'm happy.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I tell you what, since the first time you've been our guest, I kind of like to do a little backstory with the people. Just a brief backstory, man. Of course, everybody knows you're in the UFC. You did MMA before. Yeah. What made you want to do the transition into the bare knuckle world?
So this bare knuckle boxing has been in the UK for hundreds and hundreds of years. It's always gone on behind closed scenes, in old barns and stuff like that, in old farm barns, and especially as well in the traveling community, the gypsy community, that it's very big. It's how a lot of the families and a lot of the guys settle their disputes. They both choose a venue, and they both basically both choose a venue. They have a neutral ref, etc., etc. So it's almost like it's ingrained in our history being British. It's one of those things that's always been about. And when I was offered it, I seen it was getting very big. It was starting to become more mainstream, and I was thinking to myself, this is me, definitely. This is my sport. You look at all my, I probably had about 35 pro fights in all different disciplines: boxing, kickboxing, MMA. But you look at all my fights, 95% of them's come from, all my wins, 95% has come from knockouts in my hands.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is, yeah, it's just raw, you know. It's me. It reminds me of when I was growing up on the streets. You just sort of, you know, if you didn't know how to look after yourself, or you didn't know how to, you know, stand up for yourself, then people would take the piss out of you. So it's sort of, it's just, for me, it's like history for me, you know. And it's brought back and reignited my head and my career. I think towards the end of my MMA days, I started going really flat because I was losing interest in it. I was losing interest in the sport, and then this come along, and all of a sudden my head's just gone poof, and it's really ignited a switch again in my head, and brought me back into where I need to be all round. So yeah.
You know, I've heard that a lot. You know, you get a lot of these MMA guys when they, you know, they cross over to bare knuckle, they say almost the same exact things you're saying, where they talk about feeling that fire again, feeling invigorated, and just where they, I guess from, you know, MMA, you know, a lot of people talk about how just the training is it's so gruesome with MMA, you know, because you have to, you know, you're wrestling, your jiu-jitsu, your striking. It's whereas this, it gives you the opportunity to just focus on, you know, just to stand up in the bare knuckle boxing itself, I guess. So you would say, like, it's just, well, I guess, would you ever go back? Would you ever go back to MMA if the
Of course you would. Yeah, I got children. If the money's right, I'd fight anything. You know, I got to feed them. So it's not all about the money, but you know, you get my drift. If you know, if I wasn't contracted to anyone and I was offered fights, I'd fight any discipline. You know, I was even offered a left way fight, you know, with the bare knuckle with headbutts and kicks, and Muay Thai with headbutts, basically with a bare knuckle. And I was going to do that, and then all of a sudden this opportunity come up, so I took this, you know. So, like, you know, I'm a fighter. I'll fight anything. You if the deal's right, I won't back down from any person, any opponent. If the deal's right, I'm in, you know. And that's what we do. We fight, don't we? You know,
you're a prize fighter. That's
it doesn't matter what discipline it is. I'm like, I'll give it a go. Fuck it.
No, you're fine. No, you're good. You're good. Yeah. So I guess fast forward a little bit too, and you know, we'll touch on a little bit. I know you don't want to go too much in detail about it, but you know, the last time we saw you was, you know, Valor. They had the tournament. You cleaned house through the tournament. You won the heavyweight title. I guess if you don't mind, maybe touch on that night. A little bit, if you don't mind, touch on tonight, you know, and what happened, how you're feeling going into that tournament, and you know, what has led, I guess, to fast forward to you kind of, you know, getting out of Valor, and like, if you don't mind, to touch what you can.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah. So we'll start off with the night. So basically, going into the fight. I was training over in Thailand. I took myself away just to get my head clean and cleared. I got offered the opportunity obviously I got a phone call from Ken Shamrock, offered me the opportunity to fight in this tournament. You know, very good money if I won. So I thought, right, this is a chance to sort of reignite my career again now. So I took myself away for 6 or 7 weeks and went over to Thailand to train, and I got really in the zone, no distractions, come off my social media for a bit and just concentrate basically on that tournament. Going into the tournament, I knew, because I fought bare knuckle boxing before. I fought probably one of the most experienced guys in the UK, a guy called Mickey Parker on the British BKB scene. I fought him for the British title. And going into that fight, I knew he was tough. I know he's one of those granite chins, you know what I mean? He throw a rock at his head and he smile at you, walk towards you, you know what I mean? He's one of those guys. But I thought going into that fight, obviously because it was my first bare knuckle fight, I wanted to box him. I knew I had better boxing skills than him, so I boxed him, just tried jamming him and moving. But I went to 5 rounds with him, and I think I won all 5 rounds. But the state of my face afterwards. It was like my face was like a watermelon. Like I was saying earlier, out of the 35, say, pro fights I've had or whatever, I've never cut in a fight. This bare knuckle fight, I was cut under my eyes, above my eyes. My head was like a watermelon. I thought, this is different. So going into that tournament, I knew I needed to get out of that first fight as quick and as fast as I could. It's kill or be killed. Live by the sword, die by the sword, you know? That was my mentality going into this fight. And it couldn't have worked out any better for what me and my coach planned for. We hoped and prayed that I got Jack May out as quick as I could, and then Mighty Mo would have a 3-round war with Sokaju. And he did. That's exactly what happened. So, you know, props off to Mighty Mo as well. You know, the guy, he's an older guy, he's a legend. And, like, the guy, just for stepping into that second fight, I took my hat off to him, just shows how tough he is, you know, because he had a war with Sokaju, man, a proper war. So, yeah, going back to it, going into that fight, obviously the first fight went in, and it was just sort of chin down, box, use your jab. And I knew Jack May was a lot taller than me, had a lot more reach on me, so it was sort of just keep the pressure on him. And I also knew that these guys, even though they're really experienced guys, I also knew that they none of them had felt a punch of a bare knuckle, you know? And it's different. I've felt those punches. And I know if your mind's not switched on for it, like, you can lose the fight there and then after the first punch. You think, fuck this, I don't want to be involved in this. So I knew I had that upper edge, like, you know, the experience of the bare knuckle, but going into that first fight, it was just kill or be killed, take him out, knock him out, you know. I took that mentality into that fight, and then once I won that fight, I was in shock myself. I was like, do you know what? I can fucking win this. I can win this tournament. I can win it. But I need to start believing in myself again. I need to find the old Mark. The old Mark that got me to where I was to. The old Mark that got me to the UFC. The old Mark that, you know, won me the Bama title. That I needed to find that guy again. And this tournament, it found the old Mark. And my head going into that was just, first of all, you know what? Kill or be killed, and that was the mindset I took into that fight.
Without knowing that I was going to talk to you today, I just rewatched the May fight.
Yeah,
I watched it live. I watched it when it happened. When you put the guy, well, first off, when he got up the first time, as hard as he hit the canvas the first time, I'm like, dude, please don't get back up. Please. Yeah. It looked like he looked like he was already kind of out of it right after that first knockdown. And then, go ahead.
This is what I was saying. None of those guys had felt a
right, yeah.
bare knuckle. That's what I was saying. It's different. It's sharp. It's like the pain is like when you slam your finger in the door. You know, that's what type of pain it is. And when if you're not used to it, it can mess you up, you know, and I knew that going into this fight and that tournament, you know, it was a different ball game.
Yeah, when you put him down that second time, man, and he didn't move, that was, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
that's fine, it's cool.
I had to throw that in there because, like, if people haven't seen that, man, like it was legit scary, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, Mark Godbeer is going to win this fucking tournament. Like, that was it. I mean, when you put him down the second time, I'm like, that's it. He's fucking ready. He's going to do this. Sorry, continue. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's no, it's cool. It's cool. Yeah, it's I know. See, the thing is, I know I've got that. I carry that power. I know I do, but. You know, when I come up through the ranks and I got to places like the UFC and all of that lot, the mental game of the fight game can be a very win or lose situation just for your mental game. When I got to the UFC and a bit higher shows and that, it was like I had certain doubts in my mind. I started doubting myself. And when I started doubting myself, I was almost like scared to throw. I lost that old mutt. You know what I was saying earlier, these tournaments and this Bare Knuckles brought back the old mutt. But I sort of lost that. So, going into like the UFC and stuff, like people, I got a chance to shine, but no one's seen the real Mark because mentally I didn't prepare myself for those situations and to mentally just go in there with that, which is what I've always had, that do or die attitude. Come to fight. If you get knocked out, go out on your shield, and I sort of lost that a bit when I went up to these sort of leagues, and then coming back to this Bare Knuckle and that, like I said, it reminds me of my past, what I went through when I was younger and growing up on the streets and stuff like that. And then it's sort of like, without even having to find it, it reignited something in my head. And I can promise you one thing now, like that you're gonna see the real Mark now. And when it comes to Joey, I will come to fight. I will come to fight. I'll live by the sword or die by the sword. I'm gonna come to fight, and I'm gonna come there to try and take his head off. With all due respect, I think he's a nice guy, Joey. I don't really know him, but what I see is a respectable champion, respectable guy. But my words, I'm coming to fight. 100%, I'm coming to fight, and I'm throwing down.
Well, let me ask you this, Mark. Again, I know you said you can't speak for so much about it. I guess maybe tell us about. So, like, contract-wise, are you still with Valor? Are you with BKFC permanently now? Like, is this just like a one-fight deal? Is there anything you can talk about in terms of that?
So basically, the guys at Valor have been good to me, and they really have. Like I said, the first show was absolutely amazing. They looked after me. I think probably one of the best promotions I fought for that's looked after me. So first of all, I haven't got no bad word to say about Valor or nothing. I think they're a new outfit, so I think they've come across a few teething problems that's holding them back. I don't believe they've gone under. They're just being held back with teething problems. It's not really my business, so I can't really go into it. That side of it. But all I will say is this: is that they knew that they were going to hold me up if they didn't sort things ASAP. So they were good enough to say, "Look, Mark, if you're getting these offers, we approve. We approve. Hopefully, if things do work out in the future, we'll maybe go back there in the future. I never try not to burn a bridge, Yeah. But yeah, the guys, like I said, they're good. They were good at Valor. They released me from my contract once I told them, I've got an offer from other guys, and now I've signed a multi-fight deal with BKFC. So that's where we're at. That's where we're at. I'm staying.
What inspired you to challenge Joe?
Where do I start? So first and foremost, I think he's the most worthy challenger. Not I know probably sounds a bit big-headed, but I mean for myself, he seems like the most worthiest challenger. Sorry, I'm challenging him because I'm coming to his promotion now. So let's get that one right. But he's a warrior. He holds the eldest, most legitimate boxing belt in history, the Police Gazette belt. He owns probably the most legitimate today belt, BKFC world title, the Police Gazette world title, and the guy's earned it. He's experienced. He's an experienced bare knuckle boxer now. What's he had, 5-6 fights? This
6.
Yeah, so he's experienced, and he's also beat the best to get. You don't own those belts for nothing. You don't own them for nothing. There's a reason why he owns those belts, because he's a tough Mexican bugger, you know what I mean? He's a tough guy, You know what these Mexicans and stuff are like, or Mexican heritage. They're tough. So I wanted to challenge myself, and Joey was the challenge I wanted. With all due respect, like I said, I do respect him. I know he's a family man. From what I can see of him, he's a good guy. So there's nothing personal. I had to do what I had to do to get the fight, with my call outs and stuff like that. But nothing personal. It's just all business. He has something that I want, and that's it.
How fast were the negotiations? Because, like I said, I remember, God, I don't know, was it even a couple months ago when you called him out? I mean, at that point, were you already in talks with Dave Feldman and BKFC, or were you?
Yeah, so Dave, me and Dave spoke briefly before I even fought for Valor. Once I won the British BKB title, that's a legit title as well. There's probably, and we spoke after that because obviously I wasn't tied to contracts and stuff. So we spoke, but nothing really came to fruition. And then obviously the Valor thing come across, so that happened. And then after I won the Valor thing, it was just like I got a message. Basically saying, well done. He congratulated me, actually. And, he messaged me, well done. I watched that, basically, really impressed, blah, blah, blah. So I knew that there was there was things, the groundwork had been laid, So then obviously, but I was tied up with Valor and I was loyal to Valor at the time. But obviously, once Valor released me, that's when I started with the. I think I started before, just to get. Once I knew Joey won, he beat Chase and won those belts. In my heart, that was what I wanted. I was like, how can if I've got the British BKB title, I've just won the Valor tournament. Yeah. If I win that Police Gazette belt and the BKFC heavyweight belt, how can you deny me from being ranked #1 in the world at bare knuckle boxing? And that's my goal, to be ranked #1 in the world at heavyweight bare knuckle boxing. And I think that once I get these two belts, there's no denying that. You can't deny it. I've unified all the belts. I've fought the best guys to get there. Actions speak louder than words.
Is it safe to say? I mean, obviously, your other belts aren't on the line, but is it safe to say that whoever wins this is essentially the undisputed bare knuckle heavyweight champion of the world?
100%. Those belts, the other two belts, maybe they're not on the line because obviously it's different promotions and that. But if I don't win this fight, those belts ain't worth nothing. Joey's the champ. He's the champ of everything. And so this is what I'm saying. There's a lot at stake for me as well here. It's not just those two belts that Joey's got to lose. For me, if I go into this fight and I lose this fight, I lose those two belts as well. In my head, I've lost those two belts. There's a man better than me, I'm not a world title holder, tournament title holder, I'm not the British title holder because there's a man better than me. There's a man that's beat me. So how can I claim to be a champion if this guy beats me? So for me, there's a lot on the line for me as well, and that's why I said I'm coming with a do or die attitude, and I'm coming to fight. I'm 100% coming to fight. I'm coming to throw down, and it's do or die. Go out on my shield or go out carrying it.
That's it. 300 reference. I love it.
Yeah.
You mentioned, how the Police Gazette is the oldest championship in the world, and with this potentially being for the undisputed heavyweight champion, historically, I mean, obviously it's a big fight in itself. Like, just even if there were no titles on the line, I would Godbeer versus Beltran is still a huge fight, no matter where you go, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that there's all this history and all this lineage behind it, I mean, you guys, and I don't know if this is really maybe sunk into people's heads, but so much. This is, it might sound cliche, but it's a historical fight. It really is.
Yeah. It's history. It's history. This fight goes down in history. This fight will go down in history. You know how people talk about like the likes of John L. Sullivan and stuff like that. You know, hundreds of years later, this fight will be talked about in years and years to come, and that's why. That's why also it's so important for me as well. This fight, it's not just the belts. It's the whole history behind it. You know, and you know that belt, the Police Gazette belt, the BKFC belt as well. You know, these belts, BKFC's bringing the old school back. It's bringing history back. Yeah. So now I want to be a part of making new history. You know, BKFC are bringing old school history back. Now I want to be a part of making new history. If that makes sense. You know, it's a lot on the line here. It's a big fight, like you say. It's a historical fight. This is why I want it.
So, talking about BKFC, some of the rules are just a little bit. There's a couple changes, right?
Yeah.
One of the bigger changes is you get to utilize a half plumb clinch.
Yeah.
In BKFC. So, I guess maybe touch on how does that affect? You know, does that change your style any? Does that change your preparation any?
Listen, I was an MMA fighter for years. This is if I can grab out the back of his head. And I can uppercut him, like that suits me down to a T. That doesn't change my style at all. It just adds to my style. Yeah. It's perfect, yeah. But, you know, Joey's shorter than me, so he's got to get to that distance first, hasn't he? Or maybe that's why I want it in close. Who knows?
Because Valor, what were there? They were 3 minutes, right? Valor
3 rounds, yeah. Yeah.
So in BKFC is 2 minute rounds. It's 5 2-minute rounds.
Is it two? So
yeah.
I haven't. Yeah, it is. Yeah. There's.
So it's a little quicker.
I've been fighting MMA for years in 5 minute rounds. You know, so if I can't go 2 minutes, and there's something up in there. Yeah.
Wow.
It's. Do you know what? I'm really looking forward to this fight. Even just thinking about it now, I'm so pumped.
Like I said,
really looking forward to it.
Just talking to you about this, I wish the camera could pick this. I mean, like,
the hairs on the end.
I don't even know if I have the word. I mean, I could say I'm excited and pumped and all that, but I really don't even know if I have the words for it. I guess, Mark, like I said, you and Joey, you guys are two grizzled vets. You guys have, you know, you've been in UFC, you've done MMA for years. You guys are both experienced in bare knuckle. You guys are both champions coming into this. You guys both fight at a high caliber. I mean, I guess I got one last question for you, man.
Yeah.
How does it go down?
It's going to be an early night. Like I said, this is how it goes down. I'm coming in to kill or be killed. Simple as that. I'm coming in to kill or be killed, and I'm coming in to finish the fight. Mark my words, I'm coming in to finish the fight. You know, I'm not going to look for that big knockout or whatever, but it will come because that's the attitude I'm going in with. You know, I'll kill or be killed. So just don't blink. You know, I think people realise now what sort of power I have got. I only need to land one punch and it's game over. That's the thing, you know. And I'm not one of these heavyweights that, you know, for the first couple of minutes, stay out the way of him. I'm going to be dangerous for the whole 5 rounds if it has to. So I'm coming in to knock him out. I'm coming in I want to put a stamp on it, and I want to prove to everyone, look, this guy's legit. This guy's here now to stay, and this guy's legit. You know, I want people to talk. I want them to talk. I want to go down in history with a big knockout.
I'll tell you what, I like I said, I could say it here a million times over, man. I'm excited. Guys, BKFC 12, Beltran versus Godbeer. It's going to be on April 11th. It's in Birmingham, Alabama. If you're local, go check it out. I think tickets are on sale now. Go get yourself a ticket. It's going to be on pay-per-view. It's going to be on Fight TV. There's no reason There's no reason not to see it. You don't want to miss it. I mean, literally history. I know it sounds cliche again, history in the making. It truly is. If you're a combat sports fan, boxing, MMA, whatever, if you're new to bare knuckle, what a perfect time. What a perfect time to cross on over and come on over into bare knuckle. You see this fight, I just have a good feeling you're going to be a permanent fan after seeing this. So, Mark Godbeer, we appreciate your time, sir. It's an absolute pleasure. And have a good night, my friend.
Cheers, man. Cheers, guys.